There's a light in the sky, rising in the air. There's a feeling so strong. It's time to light the fire, like a bright shining light. Learn, getting more out of life. Learn, sharing time with friends, feeling so strong.
Yes, hello, welcome to the House of Wellness. I'm Luke Darcy, and I couldn't be more excited to be here with Joe Stanley, Rachael Finch, and Luke Hines. Hello, guys.
Hi.
How are we all going today?
Great to be here.
Fresh.
Got a good energy about it already today. Big show coming up, everything from fasting and the technology to help you do it to a thing called plogging, Hinesy.
Das, I told you what we do behind closed doors stays behind closed doors.
Okay.
No, but in all seriousness, I'm going to share what plogging is later in the show.
Never
Stay
heard
tuned
of
for
it.
that.
No idea what you're talking about. We're all looking forward to that one, Hinesy, and I'm keen to share the first in our series of Back to Basics. Each week we're going to compare the practices of a physiotherapist, an osteopath and a chiropractor in an effort to find out their difference. Rach, what's your go-to if something goes wrong with you?
You know, I have never used either one of those three healthcare professionals. I'm eager to find out what exactly in depth they mean.
Yeah.
If I have something wrong with my body, it's usually a deep tissue massage, husband or not husband, or acupuncture. I have to force him, or acupuncture.
All right, well, first, Joe, we're into the footy season and your team, the Pies, are on fire, by the way. It's making you very happy. But the big freeze at the G is one of my favourite times of year. Group of celebrities taking the plunge into a massive pool of freezing cold ice at the MCG, all to raise awareness for the fight against motor neurone disease.
Yeah, it's the 5th year and it revolves very much around this man, Neil Danaher, who has done more than anyone in the fight against disease, tackling each day with such humour and dignity and supported by an amazing family and, of course, the football community. He's an extraordinary man.
He's that and more, Joe. He's the most inspirational person I think I've just about ever met in my life, Neil Danaher. And last year the event was incredible, overwhelmed with support from everyone in the community. All 18 AFL coaches took part. It was a huge day. Take a look at this.
Yeah, well, I'm just as going to the snow because it's normally what our supporters do this time of year.
3, 2, 1, go! Simon Goodwin, the first into the slide. Ross Lyons. The base. It's going to be different when he comes up. Shoe on head. I don't know whether it's Chris or Brad anymore. I'm not sure. Chris Scott opens the hop. Oh, he's sprinted wide open. Have a look at the silks, absolutely bulging. He's lowered the depth by 300 millimetres. Leon Cameron is let loose. Down there the Ferraris do. The full retro get up here. And another wall stand. Johnny Worthall. Look at that.
And when you left the Gold Coast, what was the temperature there today?
Oh, it's 23 and sunny.
Look at the speed! He's gone in Tin Soldier style. Well, he's got the crease shirt, Tim. That looks like Robbo. Alan Richardson, dressed as Mark Robinson.
Robbo has never worn a better fitting suit than that.
Brendan Bolton watering the green shoots down at Carl. All the youngsters are going to grow. And a Bobby. He's done a Bobby, Brendan Bolton.
You've bulked up a little since I saw you last.
Been in the gym for a couple of days.
Chris Fagan, coach of the Brisbane Lions. Oh! And a forward somersault getting out of the pool as well.
You actually have done your hammy, haven't you?
There he goes. Oh, he's gone for the dive. He's gone for the dive, has Nathan Buckley.
The I Love Mrs. Hardwick, which has grown a few legs the longest time. But these shorts are very tight, so I better hurry up and get me in that water, I reckon.
Way you go. Damien Hardwick takes on Gorgeous. I reckon he's just the furthest. Here he is, Luke Beveridge. Go down standing up, Bevo. First person ever to serve down the MND slide. Adam Simpson adds fire in the ice. Adam Simpson, the stare, down kick. Oh boy, it's a back ending and he's lost his head. Alistair Clarkson as John Longmire.
But I'm
behalf, I think, of all of us, Tim, you have been a brave and selfless and courageous man. You've taught us all so much.
Thank you, everyone out there, and let's have fun today.
How good were the 18 AFL coaches, Joe? If you get the call from Neil, you are compelled to be involved in the big freeze at the G. One of the great things I've ever been involved in the first year. We need to get you down the slide, Joe.
I would love it. It'd be such an honour to be asked. You don't say no.
No, and it is seriously cold. Who better to give us an insight into the 5th annual Big Freeze at the G than Neil's beautiful daughter, Beck, and Australian champion netball, Bianca Chatfield, who's going down the slide. Welcome to you, Beck. Welcome to you, Bianca. Good luck.
Thank you. You're right. When you get the call from Neil, you can't say anything but yes. I just need to work out my outfit.
I know, that's a big decision. It's a big decision, so we're looking forward to the big day. It's around the corner now.
Can you believe what this event has grown into?
No, absolutely cannot believe it. We started year one hoping to raise about $250,000. We went well over $2 million, and now to be in year 5 and have the support that the Australian public continues to provide and what we've been able to do with all the money that's been raised, it's inspiring.
It's an amazing thing to witness, isn't it?
It is, and it was sort of the forgotten disease in lots of ways, wasn't it, Beck? Because tragically people really didn't survive long enough to hang around and champion the cause. So what your dad's done, as I said before, it's just the most inspirational story. You must marvel every day when you get up and you see what your dad's been able to achieve.
Yeah, he's completely changed how we think about MND, and when he got diagnosed, there was no trials, there was not many research projects out there, but the community have rallied, and we're really seeing it shift now, and he's been so strong, so positive throughout what is a really difficult thing to go through. So I'm so proud of everything that he's been able to do the last few years.
It's incredibly selfless of him, I think, and also of your family. You've all just immersed yourself in this incredible cause. Now you are also campaign managers, so you're working for this incredible thing that you're doing. And it's not just the freeze, is it? There's lots of other events and things that you do to raise money and awareness.
Yeah, so my life's dramatically changed over the last few years. I was working as an accountant, I was rowing, and then when Dad's diagnosis came, you know, sometimes there's times in life where you change, there's a fork in a road and you go one way. Dad's led by example. He's just working so hard, and we've got an amazing army of volunteers, of supporters that have helped us throughout the year. We've got so many different things that are going on, so it's great.
And as you said, Bianca, there's been a long list of people that have been down the slide, but you know, to you and to all the people that get behind it, congratulations again. How are the nerves holding up? Because at the end of the day, you've got to get into a freezing tub of ice, and I can tell you, it hurts.
And when I do ice bars as an athlete, I don't only ever go up to here. Like, I'd be like, just my legs, but to actually know that my head is going to go under. What did you wear down the slide?
Well, I've sort of once at a game put on some gloves because it was freezing cold. So I've been, the leather gloves was the trouble. But we didn't quite get the tone of it year one. People now are right out there. So you've got to put it out there, Bianca. What are you thinking?
Well, I'm feeling the pressure. I think something to do with netball, but I think Sherelle nailed it a few years ago when she did a bit of netball, bit of Wonder Woman kind of look.
Yes, I remember that. I love that.
So I've got any ideas. I'm happy to take any ideas.
Yeah, wetsuit. I don't know.
Wetsuit.
You've got to feel that cold. Right. Oh, wow. I do get the sense when you see Neil at the top of the slide watching people go down, he takes great joy in the pain of it.
I reckon it is his favourite day because he gets to pull the lever that sends everyone into that ice bath, so he loves it. You can see the little cheeky grin.
He is very much the public face of this illness. Is that a burden for him? Does he find that hard?
The simple thing is that someone had to take up that challenge, and he's just done it. So, while it is really difficult, the disease is really hard on the body. He's slowly losing his ability to use his hands, breathing is getting harder, talking is getting harder, but what we're able to do is just focus on the positive aspects, which is what Fight MND is all about, making sure that we're raising as much funds so we can get that into clinical trials, research projects and find an answer. And he sees so much purpose from doing that.
But I think also there's been huge positive in people seeing him in many different ways, speaking very publicly, because we all come across people who are struggling with this illness in the community, and now we understand it so much better and we understand interacting with people so much better, don't you think?
Absolutely. We get so many phone calls from people saying that before this all sort of unfolded, they felt very alone. People didn't really understand what they were going through. Now you see people wearing the beanie and getting behind them, and they know that they've got an army of people that are fighting to find that cure.
Speaking of the beanie, this is a badge of honour to buy one of the M&D beanies designed by the Danaher family. I know, Beck, this was your great idea, and all my kids every year, you've got to get a brand new beanie. It's a great way to donate and support the cause. How do we go about it, Beck?
Yep, so if everyone can jump on at fightmnd.org.au, make sure you buy a beanie, make sure you donate, because the fight's not over and we need to keep going until it is.
It's a toasty warm beanie, isn't it? It's double layered.
Yeah,
it's a
absolutely.
good one.
Yeah, Beck, your dad is an inspiration. You're an inspiration. The work that you've done, we love the idea of supporting what your dad does with M&D. Bianca, good luck. Looking forward to seeing you go.
I can't wait.
Thanks to Beck and thanks to Bianca for coming in. As we said, all the details on how to donate to the Big Freeze at the G we'll get on our website. Go to houseofwellness.com. The Big Freeze at the G, Queen's birthday, June 10th. Get your beanie now. Support Neil Danaher and this great cause. This is the House of Wellness. Welcome back to the House of Wellness. Now, how are you going, Joe?
I'm doing okay.
Good. It's good to hear, because it's fair to say we've got something in common, and that's generally try and be the best we can be as a team, but occasionally we will have a stumble.
Well, of course we do. And I think that the problem with that is that we are framing stumbles in terms of failure, and life is busy. And really, sometimes I see it as disconnecting with the messages that our body and our souls are telling us, and we kind of forget. For myself, that's when I reach for sugar too much. And I'm not hearing my body saying, hey, back that off a bit, or I don't make time to meditate enough. And that really results in me not feeling great. But let's not think of it as stumbling. It's just a reminder to connect again.
And we do put so much pressure on ourselves. I've told you guys about my story about being way too strict on my diet and my exercise, where I lost my menstrual cycle for over 2 years, which was quite a long time. So I think we've just got to learn to get back in tune with our body. And for all the bad press that we're hearing about, you know, obesity and illness, we are doing something right, because we have one of the world's highest life expectancies in the world, which is incredible. We've got a 68% chance of living to 80, and a generation ago that was just 29%.
How good is that? But I got to say, I think about ageing and what I might look like when I'm older. I got to show you this, guys. What do you reckon of me in about 60 years? So that's me, looking pretty good. I mean, I hope I age a little bit better than that. This is one of those Snapchat filters that you can do. But maybe I shouldn't look at it for too long, because I might freak myself out and end up coming back next week and not looking like myself after having done a bit of work. What do you reckon?
I think you're always going to look handsome. Really, Luke.
That looks like a horror show, mate. Seriously,
And that's why you don't have Instagram or
Correct. Exactly. No good can come from that. Hey, let the ageing process go, Hines. Let's take a look at food, or more importantly, about giving up food.
Dude, absolutely. And it is a hot topic. It's something that we always talk about here. Intermittent fasting. Now, originally it was seen as a bit of a fad diet, but the science and statistics related to it are growing every year, along with the number of people who are actually giving it a go. Now, I'll tell you what, crew, I absolutely love it. I live and breathe it. I would do a book shoot where all day I'm like eating 10 to 12 recipes and feeding myself. And I find introducing intermittent fasting really fantastic, because it resets all those cravings that I get, and it allows me to kind of step back and go, okay, I'm back in the driver's seat here. It's really helpful.
It's exactly the same with me. It really helps reset my body. I practice it, but not, I would imagine, not as long as you. So I stop eating at about 6 o'clock at night, and then I start eating at 8 o'clock in the morning. So it gives my body a good...
Isn't that normal?
Doesn't everybody do that? It may be normal, but it's a trend now. It's called intermittent fasting, Joe.
But the idea that your body gets a rest over that amount of time is actually quite a new idea for some people, and I think it makes sense. As kids, you taught, eat regularly, eat late at night, have a snack before you go to bed, and I'm with you. I'm a big fan of giving your body a bit of a rest, Joe.
You did a pretty extreme version. You did the juicing.
It seems extreme, but 10 days, thanks to the team at the Green Street Juice Company, 10 days off. But, you know, I actually felt more energy, more clarity, gave the body a great reset. So I'm a huge fan of this space, big time.
Well, I have done the 5-2 diet fairly regularly, which I really enjoy. So you have 5 days of normal eating, calories, whatever.
Yep.
2 days is limited. You don't eat nothing, but I limit the calories that I eat on that day. And again, it's a circuit breaker for me. Hang on, you have been eating a lot of cake. let's just tone down the cake a little.
So, Jo, sounds like we've all given it a go and done it in different ways by the sounds of it, which is why we're all very keen to hear what leading nutritionalist, athlete and author Steph Lowe thinks about it. Steph, welcome to you.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Now, I know you're a big fan of this intermittent fasting or fasting in general. Tell us where you sit on the spectrum in terms of giving it a go.
Yeah, like personally, I think it really depends on the individual. You know, there are a number of people that don't actually suit fasting, and one example is breastfeeding, which is myself personally at the moment. So I'm not doing any fasting myself, but I think if we look at the health benefits, what Rach was saying is really important to personalise. So there are a number of different versions, and that will look differently for two people.
Can you talk to me a little bit about that? Because we touched on the 5-2, and then there's different day fasting, cyclic fasting, where you increase the amount of time, or whether you just focus on a particular day, or even up to 48 hours. Can you break some of them down for us?
It feels so complicated.
Well, we've got to remember that everyone's fasting. Like you said, it's completely normal, right? So we're already always fasting between dinner or our last meal to the first meal of the following day. So it's actually not uncommon. You know, everybody fasts to a degree, but where you sit on the spectrum largely depends on your current blood sugar control.
Yes.
So if you've got poor blood sugar control, if you're eating lots of cake or lots of refined carbohydrates, if you're snacking all the time, you won't dive into a 16-8 or a 48-hour fast, but you might simply try like 12-12, which would be a 12-hour break overnight with a 12-hour eating window in one day.
And hence the name breakfast, break the fast. Steph, can you talk more about the physiology? What exactly is fasting doing to our body?
Yeah, there's some amazing benefits of fasting. Sort of, I guess we look at short term, there's definitely that digestive ease. So what you guys were talking about with the break, it gives your digestion. So we talk about digestion being quite costly. It costs the body, it's quite an expensive process. And if we're always eating and always grazing, there can be some digestive distress. So obviously when you're not eating, you're giving yourself that break. That digestive ease is quite incredible for a lot of people.
I find it profound. I feel so much cleaner if I'm giving myself a break from constantly breaking down what generally often is toxic, what I'm perhaps eating. So how do you know which is the best one for you?
Yeah, I think it's a matter of trial and error. So you might experiment with, let's say you've worked out your normal fasting window. Is that 12 hours or Rach, yours is 14? Then you can simply either have an earlier dinner by an hour or a later breakfast by an hour and see how your body responds. So if extending your fast leads to binging or overeating cake or losing the plot by the end of the day, then clearly you've chosen too long a fast. So gradual is best.
Hey, Steve, I love that we're talking about this as being a fad diet and something new, and we've got experts talking about it. I caught up with Basha Houli, who's a very proud Muslim AFL player. He's just going through the month of Ramadan. He was best on ground, and he was saying, I want to extend Ramadan because I feel better, my energies. He said, we've been doing this for 1,400 years now, so it's not exactly new, is it?
It's not new at all. It's a very ancient health strategy, and there is some amazing research that shows that fasting increases endurance. So maybe that's what your friend is experiencing himself.
I certainly have felt energised sometimes by fasting, but you know, they say that you shouldn't do grocery shopping when you're hungry because you can tend to buy things that aren't right for you. How do you stop yourself from pigging out on the days when perhaps you are allowed food or just reaching for the wrong things?
Yeah, I think it comes down to food quality. So what we're eating should be the most nutrient-dense whole food, which looks like lots of plants, so our non-starchy veggies, quality proteins, healthy fats, and the right type of carbohydrate, so usually in a natural whole food form. So when we're so well nourished, our blood sugar is stable and we don't get the hangries or the overeating or the poor choices. So it's a direct result of what's on our plate.
Now, Steph, you mentioned obviously you're not fasting at the moment because you've had baby Grace.
Congrats!
Is there anyone else who should be maybe mindful about whether they should be fasting?
Absolutely.
themselves?
So it's really important to discover that, you know, it's not for children. Even teenagers aren't advised to fast. Pregnancy and breastfeeding. And then if we're looking at someone that might be a little bit unhealthy, taking medications, you need to do it under the guidance of your medical professional, and certainly anyone with blood sugar issues wouldn't be fasting to start.
As we said, it's a hot topic at the moment. From what Steph says, it's important to do your homework on food plans, diet plans, what works best for you before jumping in. Steph, thanks so much for your insight today.
Thank you.
Thanks, Steph.
Yay.
Great to catch up with Steph. Of course, fasting isn't the same as forgetting to eat, Joe. If you want a reminder or you want to take stock of what you're eating and why, well, would you believe there's an app for that? Vanessa's in next. That's coming up on the House of Wellness. Welcome back. They say you are what you eat, and I'm not quite sure where that leaves us with our fasting discussion, but I'm sure we have the technology, and that is why we've got Vanessa with us. Is that right, Vanessa?
That's absolutely right. You know, we love to have an app for everything, and there's a fantastic app called the Life Fasting Tracker, which is a really easy way to use a free app to start tracking your fasting lengths. And as we know, you might want to start with different sorts of times. It supports all sorts of fasting. It doesn't really matter what you're trying to do. It lets you plug it in, start and stop, register your emotions as you're fasting.
Angry, 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 sad. Angry, angry, sad.
Well, I noticed there was a euphoric in there, so that would be perfect for you. Yeah.
Vanessa, do you fast yourself?
I do the regular, probably like a 12-hour sort of fast.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So with this app, you can also share with other people, I would imagine, like any other app or online publication.
Yeah, it's really fun. You can create a circle of friends and encourage each other and write comments on different people's fasts, like, go you, or let's do this together. I should probably try and push out my fasting trials now that I've been inspired a bit by the information you put in front of me.
And Vanessa, I believe that it's not just necessarily about counting what we're eating, but there's an emotional element to this which is really important, because I often say to people, don't count calories, count nutrients and listen to how you actually feel.
Absolutely. So there are ways of using really simple apps like Vora, for example, if you only care about the tracking things over time. But if you want something that's more about your emotional relationship to food, you can use something called U8, which lets you snap a photo of your meal in the moment and then talk about your reasons for having that meal or snack. So it's like, were you bored? Were you feeling emotional? Were you just hungry? Did it hit the spot? Was it healthy? Was it on the path or off the path of what you want to achieve?
I really love that, because it's hard to remember sometimes how you've reacted to something. If you're keeping like a diary, basically, you can go, oh, let's go back to those foods that really kind of serviced me.
And everyone's got really different goals in terms of what they want to eat. Sometimes they're just trying to build up the amount of nutritious food within their diet. Sometimes they're trying to limit snacking or do other things to help address a particular health concern at a time. And that has a lot of flexibility in the U8 app.
So with the sharing with your friends, I want to know that it's for encouragement and accountability, but not for unhealthy competitiveness, because I worry that there might be a space for that there.
I think it's really important for us to be mindful about where our friends are at in terms of healthy relationships with eating.
Yes.
And an app can't do that for us. So we have to think, is this getting a bit much? Are we taking the competition too far?
What about someone, I'm a bit of a perfectionist and I like to have everything laid out for me. Someone that wants an in-depth insight into their fasting. Is there an app for that?
I feel like the Life Fasting Tracker is probably the best for that, because it does track a range of things, like not just what you've eaten and when and how long you've fasted, but also your moods. So you can start to pick out patterns in your behaviour. And I think that's really constructive.
I think the most important thing is, if anyone's going into this, that they have a healthy relationship with food. A lot of people ask why I don't put calories in some of my recipes, and it's just not a topic I want people focusing on. Focusing on feeling nourished is where it's at.
Yeah, absolutely. So now you mentioned Vora. How does that differ from the others that you've mentioned?
Vora's a little simpler. It's less about the emotions, it's just the facts, ma'am. But some people love it because you can download your own data and then you can track that in different ways. So if you're an Excel spreadsheet nerd, then Vora might be the one for you.
Yeah, I like coloured pencils. I like being able to go, oh, look at me, I'm very good.
I thought you said you weren't competitive, Joe. Apparently you now are.
Only with myself.
Okay.
Yes.
Thanks again, Vanessa. Great to have you on board as always. Seems pretty simple to me. If certain foods don't make you feel good, then don't eat it. Thanks again to Vanessa. Some good online inspiration there for people who are into fasting or want to give a bit more thought to what and when they eat. Up next, we go back to basics.
Comfort food doesn't get more comforting than my nutritious and delicious spaghetti and meatballs with chia seeds. An easy midweek dinner that delivers big on flavour and fibre. To start, add chopped onion, garlic, carrot and basil to the minced beef and mix it all up. BioGlad organic chia seeds bind the mix and are the perfect addition to help maintain a healthy diet. They're high in fibre for digestion and magnesium and iron to support energy. Once you've formed your meatballs, add them to a pot of simmering tomato sauce and let them cook for about 30 minutes. For extra credit, serve with whole grain spaghetti under your saucy meatballs. Garnish with extra chia seeds and a bit more basil, then make yourself comfortable, dig in and enjoy my spaghetti and meatballs.
Yeah, welcome back. Anyone who's had a bad back, a sports injury or any kind of chronic pain has probably thought, Joe, about getting help from a specialist.
Well, yes, but which one? It's really hard to know for myself. Now, you said, Rach, you've never seen a physio, chiro or osteo.
Never.
I have seen physios on occasions where I've maybe got an Achilles problem from running, but I'll go and see an osteo. I love him. Every time, you know, when you wake up a little bit like you've got a bit of...
Oh, I've had that
when you do
several
that,
times.
and you're like, what happened? Did my sleep? That's what my osteo's for.
Gotcha.
I love him.
Right at the end of my playing days, I found a guy called Tim Slade. I'd describe him as part osteo, part physio, part counsellor, just a genius. And everyone's got someone that works for them.
Yes.
He's big on strength programs and active recovery. But you're right, Joe, there's a choice of pain relief specialists for absolutely everyone. But we're going to go back to basics to check out the differences between 3 pain relief professionals, an osteopath, a chiropractor and a physio. Each week we'll find out the principles of how each one works. And today we're kicking it off with a chiropractor.
Dr. Michael Bloom has been a chiropractor for over 25 years. In that time, he's seen the full gamut of back problems, but by far the most common is lower back pain.
It's a very low percentage of lower back pain that comes about from really serious conditions such as infections and tumours and fractures. The vast majority of lower back pain is what we would call non-specific chronic lower back pain. And that really requires some holistic management. It's about managing the situation. It may not always be about complete resolution or cure.
There's a slight shortening through the right leg.
It kind of feels like it's weak in the base of my spine. So lifting or wanting to like pick up something from the ground, you kind of have to kneel down really weirdly to get it. Like it just feels a little bit weak, if that makes sense.
Susie Kemp has suffered a bad lower back for years and chose a chiropractor for treatment on a recommendation from a friend.
Is that a bit tender, Susie?
Yes.
The assessment we do with lower back pain, it's hands-on, so we need to physically palpate and feel the spine, and we're feeling for mechanical function of the spine. I mean, that's one of the skill sets that a chiropractor tends to build up, is a great ability to determine through the use of our hands correct or altered function of the spine, but also we can do orthopaedic and neurological testing.
Your area down through there, it's not hinging and gliding as well as it should. There's a degree of fixation or immobility, and like one bone is almost compressing into the other one. So
chiropractic is really based around low force but high speed. So we tend to use our hands manually to work on people's spines, necks, for example, to actually make the type of adjustments and changes that we make.
Your hands can just relax there.
Yeah. I think that chiropractors, osteopaths and physiotherapists are similar, hopefully, in the fact that we all have our patients' interests at heart. We all want the best results, and we all use our different techniques and methods and philosophies in some ways to try and help the person achieve that outcome.
After doing the adjustment, there's a great increase in the flexibility and tension has reduced.
If I have pain, I see him more frequently, and my recovery is far better and far faster when I have seen him in comparison to when I'm not able to get to a chiropractor and I just have the back pain. It just lingers a lot longer and it's a lot more uncomfortable.
In your lower back that is naturally there, this curvature, it needs to be preserved.
And if you aren't sure chiropractic methods are all they're cracked up to be,
chiropractic techniques are low force, they are high speed, but still sometimes people may not like the thought of that, but other people absolutely love the thought of that. So in order to choose the practitioner, it really comes down to personal taste.
good crack on the back, wasn't it, Rachel?
Makes me want to book an appointment just to get that back crack in. What I find really interesting is they can pick that dysfunction and disalignment with the body just by touching and feeling, you know, that education.
There's a bit of competition sometimes between the physio world and the chiropractor world, and you've got to be a bit careful getting into that debate. We always had physios at footy, never chiropractors, but in recent time I've given the chiros a go, Joe, and I'm a bit of a fan.
I really love that sensation of being cracked as well. It's not for everyone, though. Some people really freak out about that. My osteo does that a bit, and I love it. It's an instant release.
Well, that's part one of our three-part Back to Basics special. Next week we'll take an in-depth look at the osteo that Joe's talking about. And speaking of hands-on health experts who make us feel a whole lot better, Gerald and Hinesy, what are your tips on surviving the winter chill?
Winter's here, Das, and that means we've got to be ready to support our immune system as well as we can for the colds and flu. And I have my special friend Hinesy here. We're going to run through a few things.
Your co-star and expert. Now, Gerald, there's absolutely no cure for the common cold, but herbs can play an important part too, yeah?
Yes, herbs are very important, Luke, and herbs and vitamins and minerals all work as a package together.
Okay.
And there's a few of them here. So andrographis, very important to support immune function generally and well clinically shown to do that.
Yeah.
Echinacea, really important for that person who tends to go down the gurgler from poor sleep, poor food choices. So under the pump all the time. And Zampucus or elder.
What's that one?
Really good. Elder flower,
okay.
which is really good for tonsillitis, pharyngitis, sinusitis. And what it does, that particular herb has a property of reducing the duration of that particular discomfort.
So we're not just trying to dull down how we're feeling, we're trying to boost our immunity.
Yes.
How else do they help us with the common cold?
Generally, now I mentioned the herbs, but we can put vitamin C as a good addition, and those two are antiviral, as is vitamin C, and zinc is a really important mineral when you're trying to overcome infections of a viral nature. So we're looking at all those uncomfortable symptoms, sore throat, sinusitis, going down onto the chest. We're trying to interrupt that passage of infection and discomfort, and that's what we do.
So who's the target audience, Gerald? Who can take it?
Well, two people. Common Hinesy, there are people who get an infection and it stays with them all of winter and they roll over from infection to infection because they never really get over the first instance. So those people, that's one target. And the others are those who struggle with upper respiratory tract infections. You fly a lot, you'd be a classic person who would benefit from using a combination like this.
Absolutely. When I'm travelling and I see people who are coughing and spluttering, this is exactly what I need. Gerald, you never disappoint. I love hanging here at your health bar. And the A to Z of vitamins is brought to you by Swiss, Australia's #1 brand of vitamins and supplements.
Welcome back to the House of Wellness. OK, Joe, I want to talk garbage with you right now. Some would say I've been doing that for a while. This is a scary fact I've got for you. Every year we produce a staggering 300 million tonnes of plastic and around 8 million tonnes of that gets dumped into our oceans.
Oh, look, this is a fact that I find really sad. It's estimated that by 2050 there will be more plastic in the ocean than fish, which is just a shocking possibility. Of course, one of the biggest problems is garbage, and in particular plastic. And those heartbreaking and huge statistics, I think that can make you feel powerless. But you know what? There's lots that we can do as individuals and communities. And with World Environment Day looming, it's the perfect chance to get out there and make a difference and make some changes in your habits, I think.
And the good news is most of us are onto it. We are hearing beautiful stories every day of people tackling the cleanup in their own unique way. But Vanessa, how fascinating is this? The humble selfie can morph into this motivational tool to help people pick up rubbish. Tell us more.
So usually when we think of the selfie being used for a campaign, we think about tracking a fitness or a weight loss sort of challenge, and that can be really constructive. But what we've seen pop up is this viral challenge that came up through Reddit in around 2015. It's been picked up again. It's had renewed vigour because a fellow called Byron Roman has put it out on Facebook and thrown down the challenge and said, hey, if you're a bored teen out there and you're wandering around your neighbourhood and you see a little bit of trash, you know, be the change you want to see in the world. Take a photo before, pick up some trash, take a photo after, inspire other people, make a difference in your neighbourhood.
Is there a name for this? Is it?
It is the #trash tag.
Okay.
Trash tag. And
#trash tag.
And it's been shared. How many times?
It's been shared more than 330,000 times.
Wow. I really love this because he's challenging young people to use what they, like their vernacular, you know, their own culture for something positive, obviously. Why do you think it's resonated so much?
It has so many of the qualities of a good project. It's a smart goal, it's relatable, it's attainable, and it's measurable. And I think people feel really connected and empowered by that.
Also, you look really good when you do it.
Yeah.
Look at me! I cleaned all this up.
I think what's even better, though, is that you might look good, but rather than posting a photo just to get the likes or that attention, you're actually posting a photo to do good, and then you start to feel good about it.
Do you remember the ice bucket challenge that went viral?
Yes.
Would you compare this to that in some way, Vanessa?
Sure, I think it's got really similar elements of being accessible, and even better than the ice bucket challenge, you don't have to throw your dollars down. You can just immediately go out and make a difference.
But do you think the motivation behind it, for some people, goes out the window and they think more about how they're looking good?
Look, I wonder about that. Does it really matter what the motivation is if we get a good outcome?
That's true. What I love is that it's the internet's potential to create change for good, which is great.
The comments seem to reflect that people are doing this to make themselves feel good, not just for the likes.
I think that's absolutely right. And why wouldn't you do it? You can use the hashtag so easily. It's really great to click on it and get inspired by what other people have done, whether it's caring about your coastline or your local park. There's so much you can do to make a difference.
Well, the idea of tidying up public places isn't new, Joes. You know, Clean Up Australia Day has been around for 30 years. The hashtag Trash Tag Challenge, as Vanessa put it, has gained a lot of traction lately. And Heinzie, you're on a mission to do your bit as well, mate.
Mate, that's exactly right, Darcy. If you haven't heard the word plogging yet, then get ready. It is a new environmental fitness craze that is taking over social media and the world. Guys, I guess the best way to say in short is picking up litter while you're jogging. And it's the best thing that some out of Sweden since ABBA and IKEA. I tell you what, move over. The name is a mix-up of the Swedish term plocka up, which means to jog and pick up. All you need is a pair of gloves, a trash bag, and then to get outdoors and exercise while you scout for rubbish. Or if you're like me and you find yourself just having a random run, just make the most of it and pick up along your way. I mean, you're out there anyway, so why not do it? And apparently they say that it actually burns more calories than a traditional run. Because as you saw me, I was like running around, but I'm using my glutes, my quads, and I'm getting down, picking it up. I was actually a little bit puffed behind the scenes there.
Do you know, I actually did this last year with a group in Melbourne, and we had bags. We were carrying rubbish bags as well. And the next day I was sore. Like it's a workout in your shoulders, your core. It was fantastic.
I'm going to get into it more. There's no excuse, I don't think. If we're out and we're doing it, let's do it. And we can even do a selfie with the rubbish as well. So we're ticking all the boxes in one.
Hashtag trash tag.
Well, if we got into a bit of plogging, Heinzie, which I like, or simply planted a tree for World Environment Day, we can get out there and do your bit for the planet. So great stuff. We'll be back with more House of Wellness right after this.
Got this. Iced tea. I would do it intravenously if I could. Only the safety of my children. Lips. Red. Gloss. A tea rose. Daisy, always, and I love a good peony. Lady Gaga, every day, all the way. I've always been admiring of people who change up their looks and styles because I always want to know what they're doing next. It keeps it so fresh and interesting. No.
Actor, director, businesswoman, superstar around Drew Barrymore. You got to spend some time with recently, Rach?
She was so cool. One of my favourite interviews to date. And she's just, obviously, as you said, she's an absolute superwoman, but just so kind, so generous, and So funny, just naturally. She just walks into the room and everyone just smiles and laughs.
Am I missing something? But is tea rose like a Hollywood favourite colour? I've never heard of tea rose before, have you?
Never.
Well, it's like a pinky colour, isn't it?
What's your favourite colour? Pink?
Well, it was orange, but now I think it'll have to be burnt tangerine.
Oh, I like that. I can smell that colour. Very nice, Joe.
Excellent. Well, I really love the way she was saying that the only thing that scares her are the safety of her children. Because do you remember that opening scene of Scream with her in it?
Terrifying.
I mean, she has terrified children for generations.
Exactly.
Totally, absolutely. And when it comes to sitting next to someone in the makeup chair, she said Lady Gaga. I got to say, nothing beats Gerald Quigley. For me, it's just so nice and humbling.
Hey, that's all we've got time for. Great to sit alongside you guys, as always, this week. Thanks for joining us. You can get all the info you need on the show at our website, houseofwellness.com.au. And don't forget to tune into the House of Wellness radio show every Sunday. And as always, thanks to our very good friends at Chemist Warehouse. See you next week. Beautiful.
Beautiful.
I love it.
It's time to light